Today on The Point TV.
The rapist said on that night that was just the beginning, that they would come back and finish me off.
What's worm compost?
Worm poo.
Oh! What about your roosters? How do they feel?
Happy but cold.
Why do they feel cold?
Because they're in the freezer.
Everything is kind of, I've been told I'm stupid. I've been, my parents were told that I should be, taken out of school and, made sure that I get, remedial care and all that.
And
so let's get started. So safety first. Hair up. All right.
Hi, I'm Jeff Goff.
I'm Meg Sully.
I'm Louise Elliott.
And I'm Pat Armitstead.
All this and more on The Point TV.
These days, our children have been scorned and labelled for being out of touch with reality, technology absorbed, unconnected with their environment. Some children cannot name the most common of fruits and vegetables and are clueless to what animal their meat comes from. As the infamous sitcom character Homer J. Simpson once scoffed, surely bacon, ham and pork chops are different foods and don't all come from the same wonderful, magical animal. Luckily, there is one crusader helping kids wake up from this modern delusion by getting them back in touch with the origins of their food. And she just happens to be 5 years old.
Welcome to the show, Hayley. I see you've dressed up as a beautiful garden fairy. Is that what you are?
Yes.
Wow, and are you wearing wings there? Can you show us? Oh, wow. And who made those?
My nana.
Your nana made them. And you've got someone beside you. Who's this?
Dana, my big sister.
Oh, welcome, Dana. Thanks for coming on the show as well. Now, Hayley, I hear your mum has turned your backyard into a big food garden. And for some of your lucky friends, you give them a basket and you take them around picking foods, just like a treasure hunt. Is that what you do?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, what type of foods do you pick?
Ready food?
Ready foods. Is that because they're the colour red?
No.
Why is it?
Because they're ready to eat.
Oh, of course. Ready to eat. Okay, so a tomato. What colour is a tomato when it's ready to eat?
Red.
Red. And what colour is a tomato when it's not ready to pick?
Green.
Green. So green means stop, but red means go.
Yes.
Okay, Dana, do not take driving instructions from Hayley, okay? All right, now I see you've got a basket there, Hayley. Do you want to show me some of your ready foods? What's that?
White choco.
A white choco. I've only seen a green choco. Did that one get a fright?
No.
Okay, what else have you got there?
Spiky cucumber.
A spiky cucumber? That looks like an echidna egg. I've never seen a spiky cucumber before. And what about that big one that Dana's got in her hand?
A tomato.
That's a massive tomato. How did it get so big?
Worm compost.
Worm compost. So you fed the tomato worm compost. What's worm compost?
Worm poo.
Oh! Now hang on a second, Hayley. You eat the tomato eats worm poo. What does that mean about you?
We eat the worm poo.
Goodness me, Hayley, that's disgusting. What about the bag there? What's in the bag?
Edible flowers.
Did you say edible flowers? You can eat them?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and I see you've got a sticker on there. Do you sell them as well?
Yes.
Ah, so what do they taste like?
Sweet.
Sweet. May I try one?
$2, please.
You're a great businesswoman. Can I pay you after the show?
Yes.
Wonderful. May I have? Fantastic. Now, Hayley, apart from fruit and vegetables and worm poo and giant tomatoes, do you have any dinner meat on your backyard farm?
Yes.
What do you have?
Boy roosters?
Boy roosters. So you eat your chickens, do you?
No.
No, just the boy roosters.
Yes.
So why do you leave the chickens but eat the boy roosters?
Because they're noisy and they don't lay eggs and they fight.
They're noisy and don't lay egg and fight. Yeah, it's rather like my little brother, actually. Okay, so what about your friends? Do they have dinner meat, like chicken meat? Where do they get their chicken meat from?
The shop?
The shops. And before the shops, where were the chickens or the roosters?
In squashed up cages.
Oh, squashed up cages. That doesn't sound good. How do you think they feel squashed up in cages?
Sad and mad.
Sad and mad. I would feel sad and mad in a squashed up cage. What about your roosters? How do they feel?
Happy but cold.
Happy but cold. Why do they feel cold?
Because they're in the freezer.
That makes sense. I'm just going to talk to Dana for a little while, okay? Dana, now you've grown up on worm poo and giant tomatoes and roosters. You're at university now.
Yeah,
And what are you studying?
psychology.
Fantastic. So your friends come exam time, are they cramming on caffeine and sugar-filled brains?
I would say there is a mix. So there is some of us who are more health conscious who go for those slow burn fuels, and then there are others, possibly not so health conscious, that will reach for the Red Bull or the caffeine, and they do get that awesome high, but they also have that awesome crash as well.
Yes, I do remember my uni days. Okay, so listening to that, I think what I'm hearing is that the way they were raised would determine the food that they choose as fuel, because that's all they know. Would that be a fair statement?
I would agree with that to an extent, but I think they may know the healthy option is out there, but not be drawn to choose it because they might not fully understand the benefits of that option.
Okay, so they may know of healthy food, but they don't know actually why to choose it. So education is going to be a real key here, isn't it? All right, so I think the ideal situation may be how you've been raised, Dana. So it's education plus being raised in a health-conscious home. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Wonderful. I'd really love to have you guys back on the show. Thank you so much for being on the show, Dana. Thank you, Hayley, for being on the show as well. Next time, we might ask some different questions, maybe about some unhealthy food. Can we do that?
Yeah.
We could ask some questions like, what would happen if you ate too many lollies? What would happen if you ate too many lollies?
You get a fat tummy.
Rather like Santa Claus, hey? Okay, well, Dana, from a university point of view, what would happen if you ate too many lollies?
Possibly coronary heart disease, diabetes, other unfortunate things like that.
Okay, so eating too many lollies leads to looking like Santa Claus and having diabetes and heart disease, pretty much. Fantastic. That would be great to have you both back on the show again soon. And there's going to be more up on the Point TV, so stay tuned.
At 69, she is a picture of health and vitality, a confident woman empowering other women. To the observer, her life has a picture book quality, yet when you look behind the scenes, her childhood was one of sheer terror and emotional deprivation. For years, she was subjected to repeated psychological abuse, lived in fear of her own and her mother's life. At the age of 15, she was gang raped and fell pregnant, and was forced to surrender the child. It's hard to believe happy ever after is how this story could end. In her book, Beyond Abuse, Di Riddell speaks not just of survival, but thrival.
Di, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Pat. It's lovely to be here.
I've had the privilege of reading your book, and what has left me in awe is not just once or twice, but on numerous occasions, you've transformed your life. However, what fascinated me about your book was on page 133, there's an ad. I'm just going to share that because that's where I want to start. Wanted, a crude, rude and rebellious man. A man who is only happy when making someone else feel they are stupid, useless and worthless. Who would answer that ad? And more to the point, who would place that ad and why?
Me. I did it. I did it. And isn't that sad that a woman would be in such a spot that is the ad that she answered in her mind every day of the week? And that went on for years and years, because after my life's experience, that's what I thought I was worth.
But things changed.
They did.
You reached a turning point.
I did. It got to the point, well, it was really the death of my husband. That was the catalyst. So the catalyst was the death of Les, and dealing with my grief put me back to face that less than salubrious past. And as I worked through my grief and I got to thinking about it, well, I didn't think about it, it got forced upon me. The thoughts rose, and then I started journaling, I started writing, and the book evolved. But the speech at the back, you know, you think about it, you write about it, and next thing you need to speak about it. I got to that point where it was bubbling up and it just had to come out.
We talked about this
So the
earlier.
book was the result of that. And then after I wrote the book and decided that was what I was going to do, it became a Toastmaster speech, and you know, that was the opening of my speech.
Yeah, so that became a real driving force, didn't it?
It did, because that led me then into where I wanted to go now, because I was lost for so many years until I could get a grounding to be able to move myself forward.
So you had some 45 years of history that hadn't been shared really until
Absolutely.
that point.
Yeah, exactly. Because as a rational adult, the rapist said on that night that was just the beginning, that they would come back and finish me off. To a rational adult, you might think pretty silly. To a scared teenager, 15 years of age, I took it to heart. So I pushed it down, and then it became that it was never going to come out. But dealing with my grief after Les passed away, it bubbled up. You know, if you squash something down far enough, it's going to bubble out. It'll come out somewhere. But I'm very lucky that it's bubbled out, you know, and I'm off on a completely different tangent now.
So your husband Les, who passed away
2002.
Yeah. He was very much a pivotal part of that turning point in your life, wasn't he?
Absolutely, yes. He was. I was nursing. No, I'd gone off nursing because part of the thing after the pregnancy with the welfare workers, they told me I was unclean, I was unworthy, I was a disgrace to myself, my family, my state, my country and everything in between, that I should go nursing and get out of society's way, because no decent man will ever want this woman. So when Les came along, and you know, he was the first man who really showed me respect, and I grew, and then you know, we got married, big story in between, but that allowed me to grow into the woman that I've become today. That started developing my confidence to lead me into what I do today.
And there was a bit of an era in a way of being, wasn't there, back in that time? Like the way that social worker addressed you and was so not there for you. Was a bit part of how life was then?
It is. I mean, that was life in the 60s, just like that's how nursing was in the 60s. You know, go off and go nursing, she said, so I did. I became officious and efficient, you know, bitch nurse. You know, I wrote the book. You know, anything you saw on television, yes, I did it. I said it and I behaved like it. God, I was good at it. Well, that was confidence tipped across to arrogance. If we had an hour and a half, I'd go tell you so many stories, but no, that's not where we're at right now. But yeah, that was life in the 60s. It's a very different world to what we live in today, and we can't put today's values on yesterday's actions. Yeah. No, there was a big point of forgiveness, of gratitude and acceptance for what had happened, And I couldn't have written that book if I didn't go down the forgiveness track for my father and you know, the growing up stuff and the rapists. It could never have been written. So that was the part. You know, we've all got choices. They were the choices that I made.
And you shared with me before the show that Les actually helped. Les was the one who helped you regain respect for yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And that just happened because, you know, I went out of the nurses' quarters straight into corporate sugar industry, and nothing in my life had prepared me for that. But I grew into that, and it was he who encouraged me to join Toastmasters, well, one of a few. And, you know, that just developed my confidence no end. And, you know, nearly 4 decades later, I'm still involved in the organisation, and I give back a lot today because that's what it's about. It's not about what happens to you, it's about who you become because of it and what you do with who you become. I love to give back, and that's my passion. I'm all on about confidence, and that's it.
Yeah. Now, you've written a new ad.
I have. Oh, have I ever wanted one woman who, you know, just one amazing bloody woman who deserves respect, overcomes obstacle and believes in herself. I answer that ad every day.
Wonderful. Di, thank you so much for being with us today. There are a growing number of women like Di Riddell who, through their life experiences, are able to hold your heart gently. What Di has shown us today is the degree to which our words can either wound or heal. So let me leave you with this. What hope is there for humanity if we don't change today to a loving world? I'll see you again on The Point TV.
In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, psychologist Viktor Frankl said, "The last of all human freedoms is the freedom to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." Diagnosed with a profound dyslexia, David McLean is a testament to that. Like an estimated 2.3 million other Australians, he faces the daily challenges of life with a silent disability. Coming from a family of rugby union legends, David could have followed the McLean name into sport. Instead, he chose to follow his own path, and despite his dyslexia, has successfully run businesses, worked in sales management, completed a university degree, and even holds a helicopter pilot licence. Success in the face of adversity is something he knows well. Mate, after a bit of a serious introduction, I'm stoked to have you here.
Thanks, mate. It's great to be here.
After that, how do you feel about being successful? Do you see yourself as being successful?
I think success is a really unusual kind of, construct. I think if you think about success, it's more of the what. I think if you look at resourcefulness, that's more of the how. So I would suggest, even though I do have a bus with my name on it and my face on it that says the word success, no, I don't think I am successful. I think I'm more resourceful.
Yep. So you think that for anyone that has any sort of a disability, it's the resources that are perhaps more valuable to them?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think when you're told you can't do something, and one door closes, another door opens. And it gives you that kind of drive to be able to say, you know what, I'm not going to accept what you're telling me. I'm going to actually go out and forge my own path. And I think, if you look at, the way the scholastic system works and everything like that, everything is designed for someone in my condition and millions of others not to succeed. Well, that just gives you a little bit more fire to be able to get up and get into it.
Absolutely. So how does that affect your achievement mindset?
So I think achievement is absolutely a mindset, and I think I don't accept excuses. Yep. Absolutely not. So for me, I put my mind to something, and to do a university degree with honours in psychology versus what that means to people who don't have challenges with impairments. And I don't like the word disability.
Yep.
I think it's an impairment, neurological impairment, that basically has given me a problem-solving skill that a lot of people don't get access to.
That's a good point, because I know for you spend a lot more time working on memory, for example.
Yeah.
And I also know you spend a lot of time working on your thought processes and how you think.
Yeah.
Has that played a lot into recently or historically in you being getting along a bit further than what you probably would have?
Yeah, I think thought is a really unbelievable weapon. You know, I've always said that thought is an excellent servant but a very poor master. So if you allow your thoughts to control you, you go where those thoughts are reacting you to.
Yep.
Whereas if you take more of a proactive metacognitive approach and you say, actually, a lot of the nonsense that goes on in my head, I'm not going to let it happen, and I'm actually going to forge my own path as to where I want to go and what I want to achieve.
Absolutely.
So making sure that I'm, the architect of my own, desires.
So, did you find that process of changing your thought patterns challenging?
Yeah, I think everything is, and like I stated earlier, everything is kind of, I've been told I'm stupid. I've been, my parents were told that I should be, taken out of school and, made sure that I get, remedial care and all that. And, now I look back and, with an honours degree and starting a master's and doing all these things, working in a pretty high up job and being able to fly an aircraft, I think that actually is evidence to prove that nobody is what they say you are. You are what you are. And how you choose to make your print in this world is completely of your volition.
Yeah, you're making a pretty big good print too. A lot of people that have issues with impairments, and especially with a dyslexic impairment, they say that the biggest problem they face is not actually the problem with the impairment. It's about how they get treated because of it.
Yeah.
Have you run into that?
Absolutely. I think, in the early days, like we're lucky now, I've gone through enough sort of psychometric testing to now know where my strengths are and I play to them. So previous to all of that, you just were left to your own devices. So yeah, absolutely. You're labelled, and there's a lot of labelling and diagnosing that goes on for no real result. Like you're just named something and then that's that, as opposed to actually this is your challenge and this is how we'll help you get around it. So now there's a lot more of the this is how we'll help you get around it kind of vibe.
And I know over the time you've been sort of saying that you've high narcissistic streak and you're
extremely. I'm sure the audience are getting it.
Do you think that's a result of how you went through school, or do you think that's actually something that you've developed?
Yeah, look, I think narcissism is a word that's thrown around. I think self-efficacy is something that should be replaced for that. I think in any circumstance, in any scenario, under any situation, I can perform at my absolute best because I've got 100% control of my mind.
Yep.
So I look at, presenting my father's obituary at his funeral versus going up and, singing in a band. So I've got no challenges, no matter what the task is, just going through the content and process in my mind and just being able to do it. Go helicopters.
Yes. So while other people sort of come through school relying on the abilities they have naturally, did you have to work on garnishing those abilities, or did you find that because you didn't have a particular ability, the other ones came more easily? And
I think it was problem solving, and I come from a family of, my father was a world-class athlete, my mother was an extremely successful businesswoman, so it's sort of been instilled and conditioned in me that hard work is not a virtue but it's a choice, and I absolutely will never accept that I have not worked hard enough. I just keep working.
I think that has paid off for you.
Well, the best is yet to come.
Look, we usually talk for hours, and I'm sure we could again, but we'll have to cut it short here. Someone coming through, a young fellow that may be coming through that's under the same thing that you have, what advice would you give to them?
Well, absolutely, under no circumstances accept what people tell you are. Be what you want to be.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on, David. Stay with us. There's more to come on The Point.
If you're anything like me, you've probably got a whole list of jobs to do around the house. Or you've been watching home renovation shows and you'd love to have a go at a project yourself, but you just don't know where to start. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're probably more capable than you think. You just need some quality instruction, the willingness to step outside your comfort zone, and a fair bit of practice. We've taught new skills to women of all ages, just like you, giving them the confidence to go home, dust off their tools and have a go at all the jobs that they've been putting off. Today, I'm going to show you how to create a simple decorative shelf using just a couple of hand and power tools and some cheap materials.
Alright, welcome everybody. Are you ready to get your she skills on? We're going to do some building. Alright, so tonight, before we get started, I thought I'm going to introduce my guests. So this is Steph, and Steph is the president of the Hackerspace Brisbane. So Steph, I thought when I heard about the Hackerspace, this is what I pictured. A bunch of nerdy dudes sitting around in dark rooms, like hacking into the Pentagon. Is that what you think?
Yeah, angrily typing on keyboards late in the night.
But I was wrong. That's not exactly what happens there. Tell us about the Hackerspace.
So the Hackerspace is a massive community workshop, and we provide facilities for 3D printing, laser cutting, blacksmithing, metalworking, machining, welding, and woodworking.
So this is where She Skills, which is my business, got its start. And Steph was one of my very first participants that came along. So let's get started. We're going to be building a shadow box tonight. So this is one we prepared earlier. A couple of other extra ones here. So let's get started. So safety first. Hair up. All right. Safety glasses. All right, we're ready. So we've pre-done everything tonight. We're going to not do the whole thing. So we've got 4 pieces of dressed pine. This is cheap stuff you can get from any hardware store, and we've got 4 pieces that we've pre-cut. Now this can be pre-cut using just a simple miter box and a tenon saw. So pretty cheap stuff, about 25 bucks right there. So what else are we going to need? We're going to need some measuring tapes. We've got pencils. We've got set squares. We've got some glue and some masking tape, some putty to finish it off, some clamps to hold it in place, the fun stuff, the hammers, and lastly, the drill. All the good stuff. All right, so with our 4 pieces of timber, so these are cut on a miter, which is a 45-degree angle. So we're going to place them down this way. All right, Steph, now we're going to get you to start doing some help here. Okay, if you can grab that masking tape for me. All right, thank you. I'm going to tape these on, face down, and you'll see how the magic happens. All right, here we go. All right, so step 1 is done. Now we're going to flip that over. Okay. Oh, get that on. Now you're going to throw some glue into that. All right, you want to use just enough glue that you kind of squirt out the end. All right, I'll do this one. Very good. And a little bit on that end. And now, oh, this is it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Cool, huh? Yeah. This is a great little trick that I learned. Okay, so masking tape is your friend. This is really great. What will happen now is the masking tape will hold this in place until the glue dries. But we're not going to hang around and wait for that glue to dry. Use this one instead. Okay, so we've got all of everything. Our glue's dried on this one, and now we're going to use some nails to hold this all together. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is decide which is the top. So which is the best looking side of this? Because if you make a couple of little mistakes, nobody knows what happens on the back. I'm going to use this as my top. I'm going to mark that in, and then I'm going to come in from the side, and I'm going to put 2 nails in either side here. So we'll turn it over. This is where our clamps come in place. So the clamp again is just like another set of hands. Luckily I've got Steph here for an extra set of hands. And we're going to mark a couple of holes about halfway in between. Now we put pilot holes in for a few reasons, but one of the best reasons is because sometimes I can't hit nails straight. So if I put a hole in first, it just gives it a track to go in. All right, 1 hole. And my lovely assistant, there you go. You can do that end. She's pretty capable these days. All right, She's been to a few classes now and has actually built her very own coffee table with it, which is pretty impressive. And I'm not talking like this kind of coffee table, I'm talking a big, heavy, solid timber coffee table. All right, couple of whacks in. And okay, Steph, you're up. Done. Too easy. This really is fun. It's very therapeutic. I recommend that everybody gets out and hits stuff with hammers more often. We run one class building stuff out of pallets, so just like this very cool wall here. And we spend the first probably hour just hitting stuff with hammers. And when we first start, people are like, all the ladies are a little bit kind of timid and they're just tapping away, and gradually you see them start to hit things harder and harder. All right, done. How are we going? All right, almost there. Okay, last two. So then we're going to put one more shelf on it. We're only going to, I think we'll have one shelf on this one. Yeah, she's an expert these days. Okay. So the next step is then to measure, okay, where do you want to put your shelves? So we've marked this in thirds and then decided, okay, we're going to put 2 shelves here. Okay, so a couple of ways you can do this, but we're going to do it standing up, and I'm going to get Steph to hold that in place. Oh. There we go. Okay, now you're going to hold that and trust me that I'm going to get it right. Right, keep holding. All right, I think we're just about there. Woo! There it goes. It's messy business. All right. Didn't hit any fingers. All right, and that's pretty much it. So, a couple of tools, $12 worth of timber, and this is the sort of stuff you can make in 7 minutes. Thank you very much.